Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the new YouTube channel, Prince Dakota's Adventures, by author E.H. Allen. Welcome back, everyone. I'll be continuing with the second half of Chapter 2. Okay. New paragraph. Indeed. And congratulations on your recent promotion, Agent Deeks said, laying it on real thick. He did some homework on the general once he found out he and his colleagues would be able to assist on a mission that had determined the possible whereabouts of MCIS agents and an elected U.S. official that had gone missing while on vacation in rural Europe several weeks ago. Agent Hannah resisted rolling his eyes at Deeks kissing up since everyone had a clear view of his face. When Hetty told them what possibly happened to those missing by a bunch of aliens, they thought she'd gone crazy, and now they were standing in the cargo bay of a starship orbiting Earth. The ship was several times the size of a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. General Carter had recently been promoted to a major general from brigadier rank. She had been a general since 2011 and assisted General O'Neill had homeworld security when needed. Her office was also the liaison to the Mugs and the Epsilonian government. They worked together to keep Earth and their universe safe from evil threats. New paragraph. Thank you, Mr. Deeks. And now that we have the prank out of the way, how do we stand, Dakota? General Carter asked as she grinned at him. She knew he was a powerful young leader of distinction and was already way ahead of her. Agent Deeks and his colleagues were a bit shocked to hear her call him by his first name and not his title. They obviously had a close relationship, to say the least. Not even Hetty was ballsy enough to call Prince Dakota by his first name. But then again, Carter had known him much longer and had been on missions with him. We're good, Sam. Daryl was just explaining the quantum stun grenades to assist to Agent Deeks and the others. I'm going to make an announcement in a few minutes before we start the mission. And did you get the chance to meet your Mug counterpart, Sophie Carter? Prince Dakota asked with a wide grin. He was undoubtedly proud of his superpowered soldiers. Sophie was 18 and had been inducted into the Mugs just before she graduated from high school. She was going to go to the Air Force Academy, but her Air Force General Dad encouraged her to join the Guardian Lead full time after she'd been approached by Dakota after the Pentagon contacted her father to tell her the alien organization had identified her as a candidate. She jumped at the chance to be able to travel to other universes and work with ultra-advanced tech. New paragraph. I did. We have a lot in common, even though we're from different universes. I figured you both would be exactly the same, since you're essentially the same person, albeit from different eras, Agent Deeks said. He might be a goofball, but he was a bit of a nerd when it came to science, and he was a dedicated agent, pranks and all. New paragraph. Well, we are for the most part, but there can be major differences between the different universes, like her name being different for one, or in some universes a counterpart of me may not even exist, or Earth may not even exist, General Carter said as she glanced at Prince Dakota to see the happy smirk evaporate off his face. He'd indeed witnessed Earth and other universes destroyed by a natural disaster or an alien attack he wasn't able to prevent. She planned to ask him about some of them, but for now, she was going to focus on the mission. Marvin nodded his understanding as Dakota got down to business. Everyone, I'm going to take a quick break, then I will continue. Welcome back. New paragraph. Okay, Mr. Deeks, you and the other agents going on the mission will be assigned to teams of Mugs. I want them with you since they have major advantages against the Vamps. All of you will be working with your superpowered counterparts. I thought you might enjoy that, Prince Dakota said as he grinned at Agent Hannah, who had the smoothest shaped head he'd ever seen on a black man. Even his face was clean and smooth. Dakota wondered if maybe Hannah was an alien with super perfect skin, and no one knew. New paragraph. You're correct, Your Majesty. I'm eager to work with my counterpart, Agent Hannah said with a half grin as he nodded once at him. And you have the smoothest head I've ever seen, unlike your coworker who has a reverse bowl of lettuce hairdo, Prince Dakota said with rolled eyes as he snapped his head to look at Agent Deeks, who was immediately annoyed, but quickly tabled his annoyance, since he was in the presence of such a powerful monarch. Agent Hannah and everyone stifled giggles at the smarty pants remark at Deeks' shaggy appearance. Seriously? You think my hair looks like a reverse bowl of lettuce? Agent Deeks asked in as nice a tone as he could muster. People were still giggling, even those eavesdropping on the conversation. People tended to listen whenever Prince Dakota talked. He tended to talk in smart-ass tongues when he was annoyed about something. New paragraph. I do. Every single agent present to assist with this mission is clean-shaven with a clean-cut hairdo. And you look like you're looking for your Great Dane, Prince Dakota said with a half grin at his cartoon reference. He knew Agent Deeks got the joke from the annoyance in his mind that Dakota was able to sense with his telepathic empathy. More giggles came from the reference. Well, I'll let you know when I find him, Agent Deeks said smoothly with a half grin on his face. Prince Dakota giggled at the comeback and appreciated Deeks' candor and having a sense of humor. But he wasn't done with him quite yet. New paragraph. Nice. You're not afraid to return fire. Am I correct in assuming your disheveled appearance helps you blend in when undercover? Prince Dakota asked. Everyone knew he was about to drop another joke about a lettuce hairdo. Yes, it has on occasion. Prince Dakota turned to look at Agent Hannah, and who knew what was about to be asked. Agent Hannah, am I correct in assuming you've been undercover before? I have, Your Majesty, Agent Hannah said, unable to keep a smirk off his face. And did you have a shaggy hairdo when you were? Prince Dakota asked, unable to keep a tiny half grin off his face. Agent Deeks just smirked and shook his head slightly at them giving him a hard time about his preferred hairstyle. No, I was bald as a cue ball and clean-shaven, Agent Hannah said with a half grin as he and the others glanced at a grinning but annoyed Agent Deeks. A few more giggles came from several people. Mr. Deeks, I only have one request of you, Prince Dakota said nicely as he smirked at him. Director Vance and Hetty both glanced at Mr. Deeks with half-stern looks on their faces, as if to warn him he better agree to the prince's request or else face dire consequences. What can I do for you? Agent Deeks asked so smoothly and respectfully that Hetty was impressed at him doing it in 6 words. New paragraph. When all this is over, we're all going to have dinner in the main dining room on my yacht, and I'd like you to be clean-shaven with hair combed. You don't have to cut it, just comb it. I swear, if you show up to my nice ballroom with that raggedy beard of yours, I'll tie you to a chair, get some shaving cream and a razor, and shave you myself. I've watched my dad enough that I could figure it out, Prince Dakota said as Agent Hannah coughed to hide a stifled giggle. A few people glanced at him to see him struggling to keep a grin off his face. It was obvious Dakota wasn't afraid to crack jokes or make a shaving threat even during a dire situation. They couldn't wait to see how he dealt with the vamps. New paragraph. Certainly, Majesty, I'll take care of it. I'll look my best, Agent Deeks said, unable to keep a half grin off his face, knowing the prince would definitely follow through on his threat. That's good, because I don't want my people to have to clean fur from all over the ballroom, Prince Dakota said, and paused as Agent Hannah stifled giggles again, along with a few others. Hetty was struggling to keep a grin off her face, but was able to keep from briefly giggling like a schoolgirl. Dakota indeed had a gift for stirring funny bones. New paragraph. Wait, you have a yacht too, sir? Agent McGee asked with semi-wide eyes. I do. A few of them, actually. And they're all faster than light capable, Prince Dakota said smoothly, with a grin, no doubt proud of his fleet of personal starships. New paragraph. Well, duh, McGee. He's a prince of an FTL civilization. Of course he has a fleet of yachts. Where have you been? Agent Geeks asked with a straight face as he glanced at him. A few more people stifled giggles. Apparently, living under a rock, Agent McGee said as he chuckled. He was indeed excited to see this grand yacht. Well, I'm going to let Daryl continue his dictation of the Q-stun grenades. Prince Dakota paused as he appeared to be in deep thought for a moment, as though he was distracted. General Carter knew that look. and something interesting had just happened. He was telepathically sensing something. New paragraph. Is everything okay, Dakota? General Carter asked, as she adopted the tone of a worried mother. Oh, yeah, it is. My guardians have found something. I sensed the concern and excitement in their minds, Prince Dakota said, as he slowly spun around, just in time to see the quads, Bryce, Riker, and another mug named Malcolm walking at a brisk pace towards him. Everyone watched quietly as 7 mugs walked up. Hetty was certain the quads had just found pay dirt. New paragraph. Your Majesty, we found something, Dickie said happily, as he and the others walked up. You don't say, Prince Dakota said with a tone that made Hetty want to laugh. He indeed had to put up with the same idiotic goofiness from his subordinates that she had to deal with on a daily basis. This conversation would be good, and she couldn't wait to meet her mug counterpart. New paragraph. Oh, we do, sir, and it's good. It turns out the missing agents and several others are still alive and being held in an underground dungeon beneath the Vamp's castle, Dickie said happily, like he couldn't wait to kick some vampire ass. Agent Vance was in shock at hearing this and was certain only bodies would be found. Agent Deeks was also shocked, but for a different reason. New paragraph. Wait a minute, Dickie. Hold that thought a moment, Prince Dakota said with a wry smirk as he turned to look at Agent Deeks, who was slightly wide-eyed. He could tell from his emotional response that he had an inquiry and was certain he knew what it was. You have a question, Mr. Deeks? Everyone, I'm going to take a quick break, then I will continue. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. New paragraph. I do, and it's for Dickie, Agent Deeks said as he looked at Dickie. Ricky resisted rolling his eyes since everyone had a clear view of his face. He knew what was going to be asked. New paragraph. Yes, sir, Dickie asked calmly and with such respect that Hetty was in slightly open-mouthed shock at hearing a preteen be disrespectful. She had a feeling he'd had his ass ripped a few times by Prince Dakota. New paragraph. Am I correct in assuming you're a boy? You're correct. Marvin, Dickie is clearly pregnant. Why would you assume he was a boy? Agent Kendra Bly asked with a stupefied look. Her mug counterpart was named Kinsey. New paragraph. Because he has a bulge in his crotch, Agent Deeks said as though it was obvious. Agent Bly and everyone else glanced at Dickie's crotch to indeed see a bulge. Oh, Agent Bly said with slightly wide eyes. Am I missing something here? Agent McGee asked with a dumbfounded look. Agent McGee, you are. And I'll tell you all the full story over dessert after dinner about this whole pregnancy brouhaha, Prince Dakota said with a half grin, as though he was excited to tell a story that Agent Hannah was certain would be funny. New paragraph. Certainly, Your Majesty, I'm going to hold you to that, Agent McGee said with a half grin, no doubt excited to hear the story of a pregnant, superpowered male preteen. New paragraph. You won't be disappointed, Prince Dakota said. He then turned to look at Dickie and the others with him. So, did I hear correctly when you said there were people alive beneath the Vamp Castle? Yes, sir. The Inceptum tactical officer did a deep scan of the rural castle to determine what we'd be up against. Dickie paused as Prince Dakota held up a finger to let him know to hold on a moment. Dakota glanced at Agent McGee. You have an inquiry, Agent McGee? Prince Dakota asked with a half grin. Agent McGee hadn't so much as said one word, and he was flummoxed how the prince knew he had a question. I do. How'd you know? Agent McGee asked with a wry grin. I'm a telepathic empath. I can't straight up read your mind, but I can sense emotions from adults and teens. But I can read the minds of babies, young children, and animals. The minds of most preteens, teens, and adults are clouded to me. I was told certain hormones and neurotransmitters that begin forming during puberty may have something to do with it. But if I touch your bare skin with my finger, I can read your mind like someone plugging a cable into a computer. The nerves act as a conduit to the brain. That's why I do not shake hands without a pair of cotton gloves on. I may see something I don't want to, Prince Dakota said as he held up one of his hands to show it covered by a sapphire-colored cotton glove. Had he no doubt suspected the prince had many pairs of custom-made gloves in many colors to go with every occasion. New paragraph. Oh, that must come in handy when dealing with perps, Agent McGee asked as his grin widened. He no doubt wished he had empathic abilities when dealing with criminals. Oh, you have no idea. So, what's your question? Is Vamps the alien's actual name? Heavens no. We have Dickie to thank for that. He came up with Vamp Race, and we all immediately agreed with him. Their real name is a mouthful, and it's so ridiculous, I refuse to repeat it. But Ricky will gladly tell you, Prince Dakota said, with a half grin as he glanced at him. Ricky seemed over the moon to be able to repeat the long name. New paragraph. Thank you, Your Majesty. Agent McGee, the actual name is Oxians, the Conians. A few people call them OU race for short, but Vamps is funnier, Ricky said with a half grin as he casually shrugged. Several of the agents screwed up their faces, now dumbfounded at such a long name. Oh, Agent McGee said, unable to wipe a half grin off his face. Your Majesty, I'm guessing you're planning on calling them Vamps to their faces when you meet them, Dr. Wade said as she grinned at him. She no doubt knew he enjoyed screwing with criminals. Oh, I am. They'll probably be pissed off when they hear it, Prince Dakota said, unable to wipe a grin off his face. Your Majesty, of that I am certain, Hetty said as she grinned. So, Dakota, we were talking about the dungeon? General Carter reminded him with a wry grin before he got too far off topic. Oh, right, sorry. You were saying, Dickie? Prince Dakota said as he glanced at him. New paragraph. Thank you, sir. Anyway, the TO transmitted the scanner readings to us a little bit ago. We've got them on a holopad, Dickie said as he held up a slim computer notepad that looked like something out of a science fiction movie. Everyone knew it was a PC notepad, but it looked nothing like what you'd find in the electronics section at a department store. It appeared to be a flat glass panel with about a quarter inch thick, and was about the size of an average large notepad found at any store on Earth. It had the mug logo engraved on its casing, so Hetty guessed it had been made specifically for them. It had 24-karat solid gold casing polished to a high shine. There were small pinholes in the casing near the screen, evenly spaced around the pad. Hetty had an idea what the pinholes were for. She wondered if she could get one for her personal use. A holopad? Dr. Wade asked with a raised eyebrow. New paragraph. It can display images as a hologram, Dickie said as he turned the pad on, rotated it so the screen was flat, and activated it. A clear holographic image of the Vamps castle promptly came up and appeared to be floating over the pad. They could clearly see infrared scanner heat images moving all throughout the castle in real time. Except several images appeared to be fairly motionless in several rooms that were in a deep basement level of the castle. General Carter guessed the prisoners were chained up to prevent escape attempts. They appeared to be sitting, and she could tell they were all alive and moving arms and legs around to stay comfortable. One small heat image appeared to be sitting curled up on the lap of another prisoner. They all guessed it was a young child, too small to be chained up, but was scared and sitting sideways on a parent's lap. The child had his on her arms around the person they were sitting on. New paragraph. This is the clearest image I've ever seen in my life, and it's a hologram, Agent McGee said as he and his companion studied the image intently. Prince Dakota could sense they were eager to rescue their comrades and the family members. Dakota looked at General Carter, and she looked at him, both probably thinking the same thing. She was certain Hetty and Director Vance suspected it as well. New paragraph. Why are they even still alive? Now I'm certainly glad they are, but it doesn't make sense in this case. I've dealt with enough murderous perps to know they don't keep victims alive unless they've planned or suspect something, Prince Dakota said with a furrowed brow as he glanced at Hetty, who was looking right at him. Everyone, I'm going to take a quick break, then I will continue. Welcome back. New paragraph. Your Majesty, they may now realize their days are limited. One of the people in that dungeon is a U.S. Senator from Texas. She and her husband were traveling with the Secretary of Energy, his wife, and their 4 kids. Hetty said, unable to wipe a smirk off her face. The Vamps undoubtedly realized their screw-up and that several countries might be gunning for them. She also realized they might be ready for that with an escape or suicide plan. She was certain the Mugs wouldn't let them get away with another one. There were rumors other important VIPs from foreign governments have been kidnapped and held in the castle. Hence is why several governments sent agents to assist. New paragraph. Oh, damn, Agent Deke said with wide eyes, as though he had just had an epiphany. Agent Hannah grinned as he and the others looked at him. They were seasoned agents and probably all thought the same thing. You have something you'd like to add, Mr. Deeks? Director Vance asked, unable to keep a tiny smirk off his face. He knew Deeks' next words. The words would be pertinent and to the point. Yes, Director, and I'm certain His Majesty just came to the same conclusion, Agent Deeks said as he glanced at Prince Dakota. Which is? Prince Dakota asked, unable to wipe a wry grin off his face. The Vamps know we're coming, or at least planning something, Agent Deeks said as he glanced at his coworkers and bosses to see proverbial light bulbs shining over their heads. But how could they possibly know that? Unless? Agent Bly asked as her eyes widened. There's a deep mole in the government that works for the Vamps. Vamps, Director Vance said as he nodded his head in agreement. Sam, I'm guessing even with top secret clearances, there are a lot of people that know about the Mugs, the Stargate program, and aliens, Prince Dakota said. There are, and you think that mole told the Vamps about the Mugs and other programs, and they may have kidnapped the senator to lure us there, General Carter said as she glanced at Hetty, who grinned lightly at her perceptions. New paragraph. But I don't think it's malicious. That mole, of which I'm certain we'll quickly find after all this is over, told the Vamps of the Mug's reputation. They may have heard of Prince Dakota and know he can help them find a new planetary home, Hetty said as she glanced at Director Vance and Agent Gibbs, who both nodded their agreement with her. Well, there are a lot of people in that dungeon, several of them children, so we're going to have to proceed carefully to get them all out safely, Agent Callan said as he continued studying the scanner image carefully. Malcolm cleared his throat, and everyone glanced at him. Riker, Bryce, and I have a plan for that, Malcolm said with supreme confidence and a smarmy half-grin on his face. I thought you might, Hetty said as she grinned at him. This mission would be one for the record books. Everyone, that is the end of Chapter 2, and I will continue in the next not next channel, my God, I'm screwing up here. I will agree with the next episode, which will be Chapter 3, Hairpins, Plastic, Nuts, and Buns. And just for future reference, when I make bloopers, I'm going to leave them in just because I don't care. Everyone, have a good night, and I'll see you at the next episode.